Hello everybody. Today with us we have lovely Dnyan Shah, SVP and Global Head. She manages two portfolios there, diversity and inclusion and employee engagement. Welcome Dnyan today for our conversation.
Thank you very much, Smita. Thank you for having me over.
Thank you Dnyan. Dnyan, we would want to start by understanding your journey to be a SVP and a head in Mphasis. Okay. So we would want to know that Dnyan, from a young girl to this journey, how was it? What was it?
Okay. I started off very young, at a very, very young age, as old as my daughter now, 16. And I was an entrepreneur for a very long time. So all of my graduation days were something that I used to run a business of my own. And those years really have, taught me a lot in terms of experience because they were all experiential. So I did many small businesses, and I also kind of ensured that I did really well in them, that I passed them on to my brothers and sisters who were older than me for me to go ahead and pursue my post-graduation. So at a very tender age, I started traveling across cities. I started, earning my own money, so to speak. And I told my father that it's extremely important that I be on my own and I'm being independent, of course, without not dropping any grades in my education, because that was absolutely of utmost importance. And then came this decision of getting myself admissions into post-graduation, which is where I, chose HR. My father, mother, both of them were a little not happy about the decision because I don't know whether you remember in the olden days in the Bollywood films, they used to glorify these unions and, the strikes and all of that, right? And therefore there was this perception of, HR and IR, because largely in those days it was more IR than HR because HR was in the formative years. I'm talking about, way back in 1995. That was the perception of that division or department, which is where my parents were not very happy about me taking that decision. But as Martin Luther King says, that faith is taking the first step when you don't see the whole staircase. And I had the faith and I took the plunge, and that's how I'm here.
What made you start making your own money at the age of 16? Was it a push? Was it a pull?
I don't know. There was a desire, a very strong desire to be on my own. I always had this feeling that, I want to fund my own, expenses. And I wanted to, not that my father was not doing well. My father was doing extremely well in his career. We were three siblings, but we wanted to kind of, I was a little odd one out, I would say. I was, of a very different mindset. So I've been born and brought up in Mumbai. So I'm like, that city never sleeps. So when I wake up in the morning, I go churning the whole day. I don't sleep till it's like bedtime. So extreme amount of energy within me, and there's a lot of desire to do a lot more. And then from Mumbai, I moved to Pune, a city which was laid back for pensioners. And this city basically used to shut down in the afternoons, and I found it like really weird. So I had a lot of time on hand. So I'm a kind of a person who always wants to make the most of what I have. I do so much in the 24 hours that people start really wondering as to where do you get the energy and the drive to kind of do so many things. But that's because I don't waste time. I feel that whiling away time once in a while is okay, but on a day-to-day basis, it's important that you put yourself to creative, constructive use, be it for self, be it for others, be it for society. So I think that's ingrained in me, and that's what kind of made me take this decision, saying that, Dad, it was a promise that I made my father that I will not let my grades fall. I for sure, want to do something on my own. And I'm glad at that age and in that era, my parents were very supportive. And that made me kind of venture out and meet people, understand businesses, understand nuances. it was a tough ride. It was not easy at all. But I'm so glad I went down that path, because experiential learning, according to me, is the best kind of learning. You can't read it in books and you can't get it from anywhere else.
So, Nyan, can we call you a superwoman?
No, I don't think so. You should do that. Nobody is. We all have the capacity and the power to do that. Some do recognize it earlier in life, some do recognize it later, but I think each one of us has that capacity.
Any decision which you thought was not right that I made, for women especially, to realize that you can make wrong decisions, you can't be a superwoman.
Yeah, you can make wrong decisions, but you must learn from those wrong decisions that you take. I can't really place a finger because you've caught me off guard. But yes, I have also made mistakes. There are lots of mistakes that I've made, but they have only helped me to kind of build my foundation better and not make the same mistake again. So it's also important that what you learn from your mistakes, you don't go and make the same set of mistakes all over again. And those mistakes actually make you a stronger person. So I don't think you should ever worry about taking that plunge or making those choices. Choices can be difficult. I mean, everything cannot be cozy in life. You have to take those difficult steps. And only when you do that and you surmount those, you realize, oh my God, what I thought of it was not as bad. But that's only when you're past that stage and you've gone to the other side. But those decisions, nonetheless, you have to take those strong ones. And many a times you will fail. It's not that you will not fail, but it's okay to fail. It's absolutely all right to fail, because that's your learning, and that is something which makes you a richer person.
So, Nyan, one advice to women who must be facing a lot of challenges in their day-to-day life, right? Uh, how to snap it off, how to come off those difficult situations.
Yeah, some are very unfortunate. They're vulnerable. They're unfortunate that they're surrounded by a lot of difficult situations, people, environments. It's very easy to say this while we speak, but it's only the person who goes through it actually realizes how difficult it is to kind of tide over everything, right? You should have a clear idea of what you want to do with yourself. Where do you see yourself? What is it that you want to do? And I think have a vision board of sorts, imaginary vision board of sorts in your mind. And vision boards do have the power to kind of transform, because you are only ensuring that you're going closer to that by seeing it and believing it and wanting to kind of get out of your situation. That is one very important thing, because you need to continuously be at it. You cannot say, okay, I want to get out of my existing situation, and who can help? Great if you have help, but you have to help yourself. You need to kind of build that in a way that you can be able to stand up and voice out and fight your own battles, rather than always seeking help, support, and things like that from the outside. So if you're driven, you will find those allies in a lot of people, your friends, your family. But if you don't have the drive to kind of break free and get out of that environment of yours, which is not conducive for you, it'll become a very difficult thing.
I love the idea of having a vision board. I'll just take it one step further, that rather than having an imaginary, can we just put it up and have it?
Yeah, of course you can. By all means, the reason why I said imaginary is because you might be shortage. There are different. You might have a shortage of space. You just want to kind of, if you don't have the provisions of pasting it somewhere, and if you don't have that space for yourself, then it has to be very clear in your mind. So therefore, in your mind, it has to be there.
Nyan, one more personal question. Do you think it is important for every woman to be financially independent? Because you were independent from age 16, right? Do you think it is an important aspect?
It's a very tender question. Actually, my father's teachings to me were that no matter what in life, you must always have financial independence. You must earn your own living. And that's so, so very important. And I thank him for eternity, right? Because it was so much into, it was pushed into me and my sister, both of us. It was so much a part of our upbringing, that a woman should, we were never actually, there was no disparity. I also had a brother. I said had because we don't have him anymore, but we never grew up differently. We all grew up like equals. I consider myself lucky, and not everybody is as lucky as me. But this particular thing I think we should teach all our generations in future, that women should be financially independent. You have a voice if you have your own source of income, be it small, be it big, be it however little or however more. It's so important that you have your source of income.
Thank you so much. Now, coming back to your role questions, right? Do you think HR is a powerful position to be in? Can they really drive change?
Okay, HR, according to me, actually is a misnomer. So, HR is a resource for humans rather than human resources. I don't like to treat employees as resources somehow. And we must never forget that people are the ones who create business value. They are the intangibles. Though HR is a support function, in many ways, it's a strategic partner. Now, apart from all the rudimentary HR, I wouldn't say rudimentary, but the regular HR processes that we see, like payroll and operations and many others, right? HR also is a provider of career growth, continuous learning, education, employee engagement, looking after employees' physical and financial wellness. HR also plays a role of resolving conflict. It also works as, with compliance in many ways, it's an employee advocate profile. HR sure can drive change, and it's, according to me, in a very unique position to drive positive change. HR can play a dual role, which is of initiating and leading the change, serving as a facilitator for changes that the organization wishes to make. HR should draw a balance of factual and emotional data points in communicating changes, just to ensure that whatever change management is required is consistent, it's layered and meaningful, and it's pitched for the target audience. Because these grassroots level changes are done with the help of great communication, which inspires excitement and employee buy-in to drive any kind of change. Yes, HR can be and is and will always be a strategic partner to drive any kind of change in an organization.
Thank you so much for that. What are Mphasis values on workplace safety?
Mphasis is it's extremely critical and paramount importance for all our employees to feel safe, irrespective of gender. This allows freedom of speech, action, and thereby contribution at work. Now, if people are guarded and they have to keep looking over their shoulder all the time, then it's a compromised situation to be in. That's not the best way of working, right? For addressing such concern, there are multiple forums in the organization like PoSH, Prevention of Sexual Harassment, Code of Business Conduct, whistleblowers, skip level meetings with managers in HR. We also have provisions of town hall where people can speak up. Apart from that, we also have people with disabilities, and we provide periodic facility audits to ensure suitable accommodation for those employees. There is a special focus on women because we have a lot of women who work in different shifts across the day, throughout the day, and they get picked up last and dropped first, along with a guard if it's a late night commute by company cabs. A feeling of insecurity can also arise with the vulnerable. For them, we have counseling services offered free of cost to help them overcome their fears and mental stress, which would essentially take care of mental security. in the recent past, during the COVID lockdowns, Smita, we have set up 49 gender neutral washrooms to ensure safe environment for employees irrespective of their orientation. So there's enough and more that we're doing in that space. I'm not saying that we've arrived, yes, but there's a long way to go, and we'll continue to be at it.
So if any HR person or CEO is listening to this conversation, what will be your piece of advice to anybody to create a thriving work environment for women and others at workplace?
So I think first and foremost, we must never differentiate between men and women. Try not to differentiate between the two. Give them both tough assignments, which will challenge their intelligence and bring out the best in them. I think you should ensure pay parity and career progression across the organization, which is gender agnostic. Be sensitive and have liberal policies which allow time for employees to look at other aspects of life besides work. Introduce flexibility in their work so that, and scheduling should be such that, productivity doesn't take a dip, but they also do have that flexibility around. And of course, last but not the least is giving them additional training, mentorship opportunities at the right time for ensuring that they rise up the career chain, career ladder, and also make up for time lost, especially for women that they've gone away on sabbaticals or MLs or long leaves or any such thing, right? So I think these are extremely important.
We see that a lot of entry level, we have women employees, but as they move ahead, we see a lot of dropouts. So anything that Mphasis is done differently to ensure that they have or they help women to reach to the top ladder?
We too have a similar problem, and I don't think it's an Mphasis thing. It's industry across industry, right? And we have the ratio generally at the entry level across the industry is 50-50. So men are equal to women in number of joiners in any organization. But as you grow up, go into climb the ladder, you start seeing that women start dropping out, and that is one of the primary reasons why you see such little representation at the very top of women leaders, senior women leaders, right? Mphasis is non-discriminating organization, and we only differentiate based on merit and not gender. So such an approach also brings in a lot of acceptability very quickly at the performance-driven, and all the performance-driven decisions are right there for everyone to see. So we make conscious efforts to hire at the top and are continuing to do so. We also have programs for women IT professionals to become architects. Now, these are rigorous programs which are a combination of technical guidance paired with or packed up with mentoring. Women in middle management get identified and groomed at the right time on leadership skills to make sure that they succeed whenever they rise up the ladder, whenever they get promoted or move to the next level. So apart from these things, what we have noticed is we have a tremendous drop at all the milestones. There are various milestones, I would say milestones, or you can say crossroads, or you can also say stages at which women tend to kind of drop out. And those intersections are marriage, childbirth, rearing of kids, looking after aging parents, relocation of spouse. It's always the woman who has to kind of, make a choice there. And that's where they start dropping out. For whatever reason you have dropped out, organizations should, in a way, find ways of getting this population back in. Like, one of our recruitment team's agenda is hiring second career women. So women who've taken a break for whatever reasons would want to come back because they're talented, they've proved themselves in the past, they have qualification, and that's all you need. Gender should never play a role in all of this.
Has pandemic helped you in thinking a little differently from the work setup?
Yes, it has made everybody think differently. It has first and foremost made everybody value life a lot more than we used to in the past. Value of all loved ones and absolute, whatever is essential for you and your existence is not just, things have gone over the, monetary requirement. People have gone a little more philosophical also, I would say. Um, I think WFH, the work from home, or even the pandemic situation has, initially, when we had lockdown situations where women really had to do quite a bit.
See, one interview that I did, they had interviewed me saying, because we employ women who want to come back and we give work to women who want to work from home, which we have been doing since 2013. So they're saying that does now the situation is, will more women be employed because they can work from home, right? In fact, I lost people. One of my team member who was working for Siemens, and she had a daughter, so she quit Siemens. She joined us when her baby was 6 months old, and she worked with us for 4 years. Now Siemens called her back saying, "You work from home only, come back to work." So I was okay. I said, she's like, "I'm getting back to HR and all that." I said, "No problem," because here she was doing sales, right? I said, "Go ahead and go for it." So now the thought process I've opened up saying, okay, women can work from home. So will you have more women entering the workforce?
In a way, it's going to be good. When a woman is at home, there are lots of expectations from her when she's at home, not when she's outside the house. Everything works fine when she's away from home. But when she's at home, the expectations become a little bit more. That mother is at home or my daughter is at home and she will do it, she'll take care of it. So I think the pressure on the women is not going to go away. It's going to mount. So it's not going to be easy. I think it's easier working from office. I can say that because my children are old enough. Women who have really small babies and things like that, I think it's a boon for them. It's, I think, different for different sections of women.
And different for different kind of people also. Like some men would prefer working from home. Some men just do not like. It's not only for women only; it is also for men, right?
Absolutely. And I was just thinking to myself the other day. I mean, for a lot of people, Smita, working from office is a way to get away from home. So you see what I'm saying? I mean, working from office or actually touring or traveling or traveling for work, because then your balance is maintained. If you are in the same room, same house all the time, you tend to kind of get onto each other's nerves as well. So they say even lovers need a little time away. So it's like that. And you have to have your space, you have to have your time, your thing to be done.
One of these conversations, I was speaking to Sandhya Menon.
Mm.
She's a Me Too activist. Remember when the Me Too happened? She was one of them who wrote about it. She's a journalist. So she was talking about mental health. Okay, she herself speaks about her own mental health that she went through.
Okay.
She's very vocal about it. So she was saying, my way, I feel I would remain sane if I go to work. Otherwise, so her message to the women community was, please get out of it, go to work, do something differently, don't get stuck. So which I thought was, yeah, people have to go to work too, maybe.
No, it's correct. It's also because it's a different environment. You're also getting out of that environment, right? I mean, it's so important that you see some grass on the way or some trees and some people, and otherwise you feel cocooned. And being in a cocoon for too long is very difficult. It's like your lockdown situation, right? It's nothing. I mean, when you're at work, you're at work. So when you start work at, say, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning and go on till 6 o'clock, you've lost the sun rays and you've lost the sunlight, as in the sunset, right? It's dark outside both the times, correct? What is it that you're going to experience? You're going to feel limited at some stage, beyond a point. You need to kind of venture out. You need to socialize. There are social interactions that you need to have with your colleagues, which is such a value add as well.
The most difficult part in implementation of DNI,
I feel, are two things. One is the buy-in from the top, right? It's extremely important that it trickles right down from the leadership. It's extremely important that your leadership right at the top is bought into the concept. They are kind of supporting it. They are the ones who are funding it, all sorts of things, right? There are so much. The moment you say buy-in, then everything falls in place, isn't it? So that is extremely important. Not just that, but there is one more thing that is important for driving D&I initiatives across the organization is also at the execution level. So right at the top and right at the bottom. So people who are going to be executing it also needs to be firstly made aware of the overall agenda. What's the plan? What's the strategy? There are awareness sessions that you need to take at the right time with the targeted audience, because they're the ones who will execute it. Because one without the other is not going to work. So that's important.
Or any tips to the organization to create a right ecosystem? That was part of the question.
It's a very hard journey for a woman to kind of reach the top. Apart from the organization giving you the ecosystem, you have to create your own ecosystem at home. The ecosystem needs to be operational in your absence, in such a way that the family does not sense your loss. They don't have a sense of loss that you're not around. Of course, nothing can really replace you. But any amount of additional hands only makes the work a lot more balanced. See, these women are also, I would say, carriers of this big word called guilt. And that buries them down every day deeper than you even think, The first thing that you jump on to take a decision which is adverse to you, which is not in your favor, is, kind of quitting your job or resigning, So I think one should kind of bury the guilt rather than, anything else, because we are here for an objective. There is just one life and we need to make the most of it. And if you can support another life in your existing life, if you can lend a hand to somebody, please do stretch out that hand to kind of support someone, to kind of bring them up to speed. That is when you'll feel your life is worth living and fulfill. A sense of fulfillment will come in. So that's pretty much what I have.
It's a great tip. I love especially that ecosystem which should function in your absence also. A great tip, Dnyan. Amazing. Thank you so much for coming here and sharing your insight, your own journey, and then your role in the D&I space, which is so encouraging for all the women around you. It is very encouraging for me also. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking time to talk to me, and all the best to you.